Oh, my name is Frances Zabalski, and I'm BrodyLomax's grandmother. But I'm a Greek Catholic. Actually, when my parents came over from Europe, they couldn't speak English, and they looked around to see what church was close by that they could understand, because their language was Ukrainian. So the only church that was close by was the Greek Catholic Church. But actually, I think they were Catholic when they came over from Europe. And that's where I was baptized. And actually, I got married there too, in the Greek Catholic Church. Well, mostly we, as a family, we went to Mass every Sunday. That was, get all dressed up in our nice fineries, and away we went, the whole group. And then later on in the afternoon, the children would go back to church and they would have catechism. We either learned a lot of the teachings of Christianity. That was really good for them. And another thing we did as a family, my dad used to read the Bible to us to bring us up to date on what was said in church. And we prayed, especially at bedtime. Prayed because we had to teach the children how to pray in Ukrainian, and then they had to change into English later. And we always said our prayers in a group at meals. The big celebration was usually Christmas Eve, where all the family got together, and we had a tradition that went along with Christmas Eve. The youngest member of the family would go out into the barn and get straw and bring it in to the dining room table, lay it out, put the tablecloth on top, and like my mother would cook 12 dishes representing the Last Supper, or the tradition of the 12 apostles. And the dinner would be fish, because it was a meatless Christmas Eve was meatless. So we'd have 12 dishes, all mostly fish, and fish and fish sauces, and pierogies and cabbage rolls are usually Ukrainian things. But before we started to eat, we always had a host that was given to us by the church, and we'd tear off a piece of the host, and each person would eat it, and then we also would have a sip of wine. And the children all had a sip of wine too, and that was what was quite memorable. And we had the godparents would be over, and we'd all be sitting around, and they would sing carols afterwards and everything. But Christmas Eve was the main tradition usually. What was quite memorable, actually, at Christmas time, at Christmas Day after Mass, was we'd all hold hands. A lot of parishioners and friends. The teens would group themselves, and the adults would group themselves, and we would like make a chain and go from house to house singing Christmas carols, and being quite joyful that Christ was born. And we would sing all the Christmas carols according to that, and go in people's houses, and usually the people knew we were coming, so they'd leave the doors open, and we'd slide through, go in the front door and out the back door. Sometimes we stopped and had a treat, but that was really, Christmas Day was just a joyful time that Christ was born. Well, my faith is very important to me, actually, in many, many ways. I turn to faith when I'm in trouble. I turn to faith when I need help. And I ask for God for help a lot, whether He answers me or not. It's His choice. And I use faith. I'm a skier. So I'm skiing down the hill, boy, you say your Hail Marys quite often. And that's the first thing that comes to your mind, whether you're skiing or whether you're on the roller coaster or this big behemoth that you go on, which my grandma, Brody and them talked me into going on. Hail Marys all the way up and all the way down. But that's what you turn to, faith. Teachings of the faith that's really important to me is love. Love is very important in families, in friends, and maybe if everybody cared for each other more and really cared, there wouldn't be so much wars going on and so much anger in the world, and people would get along much better. Oh, my parents had the biggest impact on my faith. They kept right after us, you know, church-wise and catechism-wise and reading the Bible. But another person that had a real impact on my faith was Father Parema when I was growing up, and he was really good with the younger people, and he used to play tennis with us and play cards with us and things like that, but it was all adjacent to the church because the hall was right next door, and we used to play all kinds of games there, and he was right with us and taught us that we can pray and look after other people and take care of people in trouble and still have fun doing it. But the big changes now for both Christmas and other holidays, it's become so commercialized. But I noticed another big change is when I was growing up and a teenager and everything, we were able to go to the church halls. And of course the church halls were always wide open, day and night. Well, later on at night, but always open in the evenings, where the teenagers and the kids, and not only teenagers, but older people too would come and play tennis and dance and this type of stuff. Whereas nowadays, the kids don't have anywhere to go to really enjoy themselves and yet be close to faith. Like a lot of churches have the halls and everything, but they can't keep them open because of vandalism. So things have become quite different than when I was growing up. There wasn't such a lot of vandalism done. I mean, the kids behave more because they're involved in church more. Now they don't seem as involved as they used to be. Well, Easter is a good time to talk about it. What we did at Easter time, we used to make the bread called the Pascha, and we'd boil hard-boiled eggs and we would color them, and that would be pisanke, as they would call it. And we put the eggs and the Pascha and any other meats that we're going to serve for our Easter dinner. And we put it in a basket, a nice basket, and we take it to the church. And the church, it would be placed in front of the altar. And then after Mass, the priest would bless all the food. Then when you take your basket home, and you'd have all your Easter dinner was blessed. And that was really nice to have. It was nice to still carry that tradition on.